Right now on the National Weather Desk, destructive tornadoes. Overnight twisters destroy homes across Oklahoma City. Our team is on the ground with the stories of survival.
I looked outside and within like 5 seconds, all hell broke loose.
Tracking the tropics. Another storm is likely to form later today.
Notice the wide cone of uncertainty. We just do not know.
Significant snowfall in the Pacific Northwest has skiers hoping to hit the slopes by Thanksgiving.
Blizzard conditions are in the forecast for Monday.
More than a month after Helene's floods, the region is bone dry again.
Thanks to a persistent area of high pressure resulting in a blocking weather pattern.
And the great rake debate. Should you rake those fallen leaves or leave them be?
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. At least 11 people are hurt after tornadoes roared across Oklahoma City early Sunday morning. Now, the storms left a trail of destruction. At least 100 homes are damaged. Debris is also scattered across roads and also yards. Firefighters rescued 2 people who were trapped after the twisters blew over their mobile home. The National Weather Service told a local newspaper at least 5 tornadoes hit that state. We have team coverage this morning, starting with Jameson. Keep over.
Many people in this neighborhood tell us they did not anticipate a November tornado, but many are crediting their cell phones for waking them up in the middle of the night so they could find shelter. Destruction after what people in southeast Oklahoma City thought was a typical thunderstorm. Katie Anderson and her husband Jackson were jolted awake early Sunday morning.
We woke up to the National Weather Service alerts on our phones, and it took us a second to understand what it was.
Debris crashing into their backyard, including someone else's boat. Plus, the weight of the rapid rainfall caused their roof to collapse in multiple places, including just feet from their bed. In comparison to what some of her neighbors are experiencing, she says they are lucky. Vehicles flipped, lost roofs, or complete second stories gone.
It's really bad down there.
Several people said they never heard the sirens, only the alarms on their phones waking them up. Shane Barker said he felt like he and his dog had seconds to shelter before the tornado hit.
I looked outside and within 5 seconds, all hell broke loose.
Several people told us they had to rush to a bathroom or closet without enough time to make it into their storm shelters.
I heard the house being hit by everything, and the house shaking and the roar like you always hear about.
It's a tough deal, but everybody's alive.
Rick Q says he was in bed whenever he heard what he thought was hail and strong wind. He says he was knocked unconscious, but he and everyone else in the house made it out with minor injuries. The home destroyed.
Stuff can be paid for. Everybody's okay. That's all that matters.
A street over, Thomas Shaver says he heard a loud boom and then what sounded like a train.
And it was the loudest that I've ever heard in my life.
Oh yeah, it was a war zone. I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of, situations like with the Moore tornado or any of those just destructive ones that took a building and just tore it up.
The power of Mother Nature on full display hours after damaging tornadoes and storms swept through the OKC metro in the dead of night early Sunday morning. According to Dr. Kathy Walker, superintendent of Newcastle Public Schools, the gym at Newcastle Elementary appears to have the most damage in the district.
They had a standing seam metal roof on this building, and then at another point in time, they overlaid it with a single ply. So that's why you see that big white membrane out there. So what happened was the wind got underneath the membrane, picked the white membrane roof up, and rolled up the metal at the same time, and probably 3/4 of it was sitting in the parking lot with nothing left but the insulation on the building.
And unfortunately, the threat of more severe weather continues today. Here's a look right here this morning at Oklahoma City, where there was a tornado warning before sunrise this morning. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has issued a 3 out of 5 risk for severe storms in a good portion of Oklahoma, as well as sections of Texas, Arkansas, and also Missouri. Tornadoes, large hail, and wind damage are likely from now into the early afternoon there. And tracking the tropics this morning, the National Hurricane Center is now watching a potential tropical cyclone in the Caribbean Sea. And by the end of the day, it could be Tropical Storm Rafael. Meteorologist Evan Chikvera shows us where it could be headed.
This is potential tropical cyclone 18. That's a mouthful. Basically, we have a low pressure disturbance in the southern Caribbean here. So the question is, where is it headed? Well, it's going to move off to the north here over the next couple of days. It might make a couple landfalls, some of these islands in the Caribbean. This is Cuba here, Wednesday at noon. And then it moves even further to the north. A couple things working against this, though, and that's why I've plotted this on here. We're going to have decent what we call wind shear. That's a wind change in direction or speed with height. Winds at the surface will be coming in out of the east. Winds aloft will be westerly. And those ingredients, we talk about wind shear for severe weather. Wind shear is bad for hurricanes, tropical systems, so we expect this to weaken into the Gulf. And notice the wide cone of uncertainty. We just do not know.
And tomorrow, of course, is Election Day. Very often, the weather can play a role in turnout, especially when it's severe. Meteorologist Jordan Evans shows us where weather could be a factor.
The weather forecast for Election Day 2024 in the United States, expecting a storm system through the Great Lakes region. That'll bring a strong cold front, which has been responsible for severe weather over the weekend and Monday across parts of the plains. Not expecting severe weather, but still some strong storms are possible for places like Arkansas to Louisiana and the Mid-South as well. A little windy as you get closer to the Great Lakes region with on and off showers. Places like Milwaukee and Detroit, temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Plenty of sunshine on the East Coast with high pressure over the Atlantic, and sunny and dry across the desert Southwest with some higher elevation snow expected in parts of the Rockies. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans.
And hundreds of volunteers are helping to clean up Valencia following the devastating floods in Spain. At least 214 people are now confirmed dead from the catastrophic flash floods that hit the region last week. Now, crews could be seen in the water that really came up to their necks, searching for some of the hundreds of people who are still missing. More than a year's worth of rain fell in one single day, and large amounts of mud have made cleanup and also recovery slow and also very difficult. In Washington State, the Crystal Mountain Ski Resort is covered in a blanket of snow, a welcome sight for skiers hoping for an early start to winter. An area could see even more snow today because blizzard conditions are actually in the forecast. This has skiers hopeful they could be on the slopes before Thanksgiving. Lee Stoll has more.
Crystal Mountain is the largest ski resort in Washington. According to the mountain's website, crews predict opening day will be November 28th, which is also Thanksgiving Thursday. The base is about to get a boost. Blizzard conditions are in the forecast for Monday. The summit at Snoqualmie has not set their opening day just yet. According to their website, they don't expect to start running their lifts until December 6th. They opened on December 9th last year and December 2nd in 2022. They, too, are expecting to get a few inches of snow around Alpental by Tuesday, but temps need to stay below freezing at the pass for the base to build up. According to the On the Snow website, Mount Baker may open after Snoqualmie. They're projecting the season will start December 11th. The same site says Stevens Pass may be operating by December 6th. If you really want to ski before Thanksgiving, the earliest opening day is east of the Cascades at Schweitzer and Silver Mountain in North Idaho, where skiers could be cutting powder by November 22nd.
And this is the first work and school day since we changed the clocks over the weekend. The return to standard time can impact people in many different ways, but the most obvious, of course, is when the sun rises and also sets. Here are some examples right here. On Friday, the sun rose at 7:04 in Las Vegas, 7:52 in Minneapolis, but this morning, the sun rose at 6:07 in Vegas and 6:56 in Minneapolis. Let's go to D.C. here. The sun set at 6:07 on Friday when it set at 6:37 in West Palm Beach. Today it sets in those cities at 5:04 and then 5:35. Now, if you live along the northern tier of the country, you'll lose another 60 to 90 minutes of daylight between now and December 21st, which is the winter solstice. Now, those of you farther south will lose an hour to less than 45 minutes. The Voyager 1 spacecraft was able to get back in touch with NASA after a communication blackout started on October 19th. Now, NASA believes the fault protection system was triggered multiple times and may have switched off the transmitter. The 47-year-old spacecraft is now using a radio transmitter to send back data from 15 billion miles away. The radio transmitter has not been used since 1981. The Voyager team is still working to understand what actually went wrong here. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at how drought in Iowa is impacting local fish populations, and we'll look at how Maine is preparing now for the winter months ahead.
I'm meteorologist Emily Santom. Taking a look at some of the highs for the Northeast today. Definitely varies where you are based on location. Very cool in the northern New England portions, mostly in the 40s in Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. A little bit of upstate New York too. 50s down in Boston, the same for New York. 60s down in New Jersey and Atlantic City. Lots of clouds move on in. We're looking at some chances for some wet weather. We have some snow up in the western Maine mountains of Maine. Some rain over in New York. Should see those showers begin to continue into the night and lifting on Tuesday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll stay nice and dry through your Monday and likely into your Tuesday. A few clouds may pass across the area, but we're going to be talking about temperatures warming up in the coming days. So your afternoon still going to hit the 60s across the area after a chilly start. Low 60s, of course, towards the mountains as well, but will be warmer as we head into your Tuesday. Likely going to hit the mid-70s across the lowlands, into the mountains in the upper altitudes. We'll be in the low 70s.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast highs for the day. Looks like we're seeing 78 degrees in Nashville, 79 in Tupelo, 72 Raleigh, 65 in Atlanta compared to 80 in Birmingham. Looking at 83 Jacksonville, 86 in Tampa. Looking at some broken clouds across the area, some spotty showers and thunderstorms as we continue to see a very strong system moving through the midsection of the country. Some strong storms through Oklahoma and Arkansas, but as that front pushes east, we'll have a little more sun here, but you can see late storms from St. Louis down through Dallas, Texas.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
Last week, we learned October was one of the driest months in U.S. history. Many cities did not see any measurable rain. What's interesting is that places that were flooded by Hurricane Helene also saw very little rain last month. Meteorologist David Dirk shows us the situation in Tennessee and also Virginia, and the one big factor that kept rain from falling.
Thanks to a persistent area of high pressure resulting in a blocking weather pattern, keeping things quiet, the atmosphere very dry, and only weak fronts producing limited moisture across the southern Appalachian region. In fact, in the Tri-Cities, only 4 days has measurable rain occurred. All of these days had light precipitation, adding up to only a little more than 1/3 of an inch of rain, more than 2 inches below average, and only 14% of our average rainfall for October, making it the 5th driest October on record. Interestingly enough to point out, prior to Helene's massive rains, we were in a moderate drought situation across much of northeast Tennessee, southwest Virginia, and western North Carolina. Of course, that immediately disappeared, but the latest drought monitor continuing to show, away from where all that heavy rain fell with Helene, we still have in pockets, moderate to severe drought across portions of the Tennessee Valley, including portions of middle, even into portions of southeastern Tennessee, and exceptional and extreme drought continues across areas north of the Tri-Cities in portions of Ohio and Pennsylvania.
In Alabama, a fire danger advisory has expanded to all counties in the state, and it will remain in place until enough rain falls to improve drought conditions. Valerie Bell has more.
A barbecue grill, a cigarette, or even a spark from a flat tire can lead to a wildfire, especially during these dry conditions.
If you had a trash fire or a campfire, or something that you thought was harmless, because of the elements of the weather right now, it could greatly contribute to starting a brush fire, grass fire, woods fire that you didn't intend to. It could be several feet away from where you're actually burning.
Data from the Alabama Forestry Commission shows more than 35,000 acres have burned in the last year as a result of more than 2,000 wildfires. From the year prior, there were 21,000 acres burned from nearly 1,500 fires. One potential challenge is manpower.
Not in every community, but in a lot. We have fewer volunteer fire department members willing to volunteer their time.
Another challenge, the dead pines in the forest from the southern pine beetles. That's adding to the increased wildfire potential and challenges to containment efforts.
Those dead dry pines do burn much hotter, much faster than your normal living fuels, so those could contribute to some of the increased acreages.
According to the Alabama Forestry Commission, in the last month, 246 wildfires have burned nearly 3,000 acres across the state.
And parts of Iowa are also suffering over a lack of rain. Meteorologist Garrett Hyde says it not only affects farmers and their animals, but water creatures as well, especially with the cold season on the way.
And we've certainly talked a lot about the drought conditions and their impacts on farmers and their crops, but it's also putting a bit of a strain on our area's waterways, creating a bit of a grim winter outlook for our more aquatic life. Those dry conditions tend to lead to those lower stream flows, which can become a bit rather critical as temperatures start to fall, leaving little room for fish, especially as their environment around them starts to freeze solid. And at least throughout this year, we did manage to at least see a decent excess amount of rainfall across much of the upper Mississippi Valley earlier this year, leading to above normal stream flows, but things started to dry out by the time we head towards the end of the summer, putting river and streams at rather low levels once again.
When that happens, a lot of the fish obviously move to where they can winter, which are the deeper holes, but the deeper the better, a chance of retaining oxygen to the level adequate for survival. But if they're kind of stuck in a shallow, slow moving area, in some of the streams, it could almost freeze to the bottom if we don't see some improvements or if we don't have a mild winter season.
And even though we saw nearly an entire month's worth of rainfall over the past 24 hours or so, we're still well within severe drought statewide. So as long as that soil does stay dry, stream flows may very well return to those lower rates once again, putting local fish populations in jeopardy here in the coming months, especially if we end up seeing a rather harsh winter going forward.
Well, folks in Maine have plenty of experience clearing snow from the roads, and they're pretty good at it as well. But there is always room for improvement. Meteorologist Ryan Munn shows us the upgraded technology that will help plow truck drivers become even better.
This is a brand new patrol truck. This is a $225,000 truck.
This new plow truck also comes with many new features.
This is an automatic. Everything's coming through with Bluetooth now, so any phone calls or anything are picked up through the phone. This is your salt system. This is a Cirrus system, so it's all computerized.
This salt system will calibrate how much salt needs to be put on the road, and there's state-of-the-art equipment on the outside as well.
This is your plow. This is the hydraulic system that lifts the plow. This here is a buffer plower. It's a sweeper plow. It's a fixed right. It's stable. It doesn't move. We also have swivel plows that are fiberglass, and you can swivel them from either direction.
Now, Maine DOT is gearing up for the first snowfall.
Trying to get the headgear and the plows and stuff on trucks. Make sure everything's working. The plows go up and down, wings go up and down. Trucks are ready for the winter.
During storms, each plow driver has specific duties.
The trucks will be out on their route. They'll be scraping the snow off the road. They usually treat a little bit at the beginning of the storm just to have a consistency on the ground. And then they'll plow throughout the storm, and depending on how the storm goes, they might treat again. Maine DOT is considered some of the best snowplow drivers in the state of Maine.
And many attractions in colder climates are shutting down for the season. That includes the popular Canna Island Lighthouse in Wisconsin, which is now closed until May. Eric Peterson shows us why you may want to add it to your to-do list next time you visit the Badger State.
We have the keeper's home, and you can go through both levels. So you have the assistant keeper's upstairs level and the keeper's lower level. There are 97 steps to the top of the lighthouse with 3 landings as you go. You can walk around the outside. You can see the original 155-year-old Fresnel lens, still operational, shines out for 18 nautical miles with a fixed light every night. It's been doing that since 1869.
Climbing the 89-foot tall tower beckons many who visit the grounds. Joe Tavarik and his wife Elsa say it was worth the effort.
I lost my breath a little bit on the way up, and then going down was a little scarier than going up, but it was good.
All the way, a lot of stairs.
I can't imagine carrying that oil up the stairs all the time, but very beautiful. Nice, really set up nicely here.
Getting to the island may be a little easier this year. According to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Lake Michigan water levels are trending down. Heldon Wilson says the causeway is dry, and that's not all.
You can walk the beaches now. You couldn't do that 2 years ago. The water was right up the trees. Now you can walk, it's about a mile all the way around the island, and you can walk the whole beach. And you can see the waves coming in. This time of year, they're coming in from the north. So we're seeing them break on the beach on the north side.
And as we go to break, we take a look at the majestic waterfalls of the Indonesian island of Java.
Well, a very good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. A decent amount of rain across the middle of the Midwest today. It's going to be cooler behind it, but out ahead of it, warmer in the 70s. Now, that rain's going to slowly work its way to the east through the day Tuesday, and even more so heading into your Wednesday, and definitely cooling down behind that with a lot of high temperatures back in the 50s for most of the Midwest there on Wednesday.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at forecast across the region. It's another active day across Texas and Oklahoma and Arkansas. We do have more severe weather on the way. We're talking strong to severe storms near the Red River and up into eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. That's that enhanced risk for severe weather, but that severe threat goes all the way south into the Houston and San Antonio areas as well. We'll see that front move through, bringing storms across eastern half of our region later on tonight.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. A strong storm slamming into the Pacific Northwest today. Temperatures staying cool, but cool enough with low enough snow levels that we're going to have significant mountain snow. In addition to powerful winds slamming into western Washington and western Oregon, also into Idaho. So wind, mountain snow, and high surf along the coast. Dangerous time to be on those western beaches. That's the scene from here.
The National Weather Desk.
Well, right now, leaves currently cover millions of lawns across the country this morning. Yours may actually be one of them. You may be planning to rake them up later this month. Baltimore meteorologist Amy Aronson has some other ideas.
To rake or not to rake? That was the big question in my household recently because, yeah, as you can see, my backyard is covered in leaves.
We decided to give the rake a break this year and instead use our lawnmower to chop up the leaves. This will actually provide big benefits to our yard. The leftover leaves provide nitrogen and organic material to the grass. And this means greener grass by the spring, hopefully. Mulching leaves is also good for wildlife. Leftover leaves provide a safe spot for insects during the cold winter months. Leaving the leaves behind is also better for the environment. Bad leaves go right to the landfill where they end up breaking down and becoming bad greenhouse gases. And we don't want that.
So are you on team rake or mow? Let us know what you're going to be doing with your leaves this year.
And we'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Monday, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.